Congratulations on receiving your new Thymatron System IV, the state-of-the-art in ECT instrumentation for years to come. First, here is a brief overview of the front and rear panel controls of the Thymatron System IV to familiarize you with the general layout and functions. On the front panel, the percent energy dial and the flex dial are used to select all treatment and recording choices and display them in the corresponding LED. In addition, there is a power switch, an impedance test button, a start-stop button, a treat button, 4 individual dot LEDs, and the jacks for plugging in the stimulus and recording cables. The rear panel has a dial to control the volume of the audible EEG signal, an RS-232 serial port, the alarm test button, the power cable jack, and the voltage selection switch for international use. Rotating the percent energy dial displays the percent energy settings for each stimulus dose, followed immediately by a brief display of the corresponding stimulus charge in millicoulombs. Pressing the percent energy dial displays a reminder in the 4-character LED of the stimulus program currently in effect. The 2 dot LEDs to the right of the percent energy dial indicate whether a preset or a user-set stimulus program is in effect. The flex dial provides access to a broad range of functions, including those that select or change stimulus parameters and programs, adjust recording channels, transfer data, and set the clock. In general, alternately turning and then pressing the flex dial displays and then selects first the general functions and then the specific variables. The following sample treatment session provides a more detailed sequential illustration of the functioning of the Thymatron System IV in a clinical setting. Be sure the power cable is plugged into a grounded 3-prong hospital-grade socket. The rear panel alarm test button is used to test the safety monitor circuit at the beginning of each treatment day as described in the user's manual. Make sure recording paper is loaded in the printer according to the directions printed inside the front panel paper holder cover. Press the power switch to turn the unit on. When the unit is first powered on, self-test flashes for a few seconds during testing of the circuits, after which 2 lines of user-specified identifying information are printed and no base appears in the display to indicate that a baseline EEG needs to be collected. Connect the black ECT stimulus cable by inserting its plug in the jack labeled ECT on the front panel. Connect the gray EEG, ECG, EMG recording cable by inserting its plug in the jack labeled EEG, ECG, EMG. For safety, it is impossible to insert the plug from one cable into the jack for the other and vice versa. After the recording electrodes are applied to the patient as described in the user's manual and the electrode lead wires are plugged into the recording cable and clipped to their corresponding electrodes, press the impedance test button to test patient static impedance and verify the quality of connection to the patient. Caution: do not inadvertently press the treat button when testing impedance. The static impedance value in ohms will be displayed as long as the impedance test button is held down. When it is released, the word baseline will appear in the display for several seconds while a baseline EEG is collected. When baseline collection is complete, The ready message will appear indicating that the System 4 is ready to treat. A press of the flex dial will cause the flex dial LED to flash and display the most recently set function or variable. In this instance, it is the pulse width. Pulse width is just one of the many variables and functions you can set with the flex dial. For example, you could adjust stimulus frequency, set gain and position for the 4 recording channels, select from a variety of preset or user-specified stimulus programs, save up to 8 user-specified stimulus programs in memory, or transfer data to and from a PC computer. The precise method for selecting each of these and several other flex-style variables and functions is given in the sections of the user's manual describing the individual features. To adjust pulse width to half a millisecond, for example, press the flex dial again to display the existing pulse width setting, which in this instance is 1 millisecond. Rotate the flex dial to see alternate flashing pulse width choices, and then select half a millisecond by pressing the Start-Stop button, returning you directly to the ready mode. Set the stimulus dose by rotating the percent energy dial until the desired setting is displayed. A brief display then appears of the corresponding charge in millicoulombs, followed by a return to the percent energy display. To display the charge again, briefly rotate the percent energy dial in either direction and back to the desired setting. Press the percent energy dial at any time to display a brief reminder of the flex dial stimulus program currently in effect. Release the dial to return to the percent energy display. Because stimulus duration is limited to a maximum of 8 seconds, the higher percent energy settings may not be available when using the lower range of pulse width and frequency values. Whenever the percent energy setting for a given pulse width and frequency would cause the stimulus duration to exceed 8 seconds, the message, greater than 8 seconds, will briefly appear in the display, followed by a display of the maximum percent energy available. EEG is always recorded in channels 1 and 2. They are not user-selectable. To record 2 additional channels of EEG in channels 3 and 4, for 4-channel EEG recording, first press the flex dial. The most recently set flex dial functions will appear on the 8-character LED. In this instance, it is the setting. Rotate the dial left or right until channel 3, 4 is displayed. Press the flex dial again to display the existing setting, which in this instance is EMG, ECG, indicating that EMG and ECG are being recorded in channels 3 and 4. Rotate the flex dial until EEG is flashing in the display. Press the Start-Stop button to select and save your setting and return to the ready mode. Of course, if you wish to retain EMG and ECG in channels 3 and 4, just press the Start-Stop button when this configuration appears in the display. The Thymatron System IV is shipped with the low charge rate program already enabled. This program always uses a half millisecond pulse width and automatically adjusts frequency to maximize stimulus duration. To select another program, such as for delivering the lowest charge rate, using a 1/4 millisecond pulse width wherever possible, press the flex dial. Low char will appear in the display because that is how the unit is shipped. Rotate the dial until lowest is displayed and press the Start-Stop button to select the program and return to the ready mode. To reproduce the traditional stimulus settings of the Thymatron DGX, press the flex dial and programs will appear again. Press the flex dial again and lowest will reappear because it was just set. Turn the dial to display default and then press the Start-Stop button to save your choice and return to the ready mode. Once you have selected a particular stimulus program, it will remain in memory even when the unit is powered off. This means that as long as you wish to use that program, the System 4 is ready for treatment when the ready message appears in the display. Perhaps you have particular pulse width and frequency settings that you prefer always to use, such as 1/2 millisecond pulse width and 70 Hz frequency, and perhaps you also prefer always to record 4 channels of EEG. Once you have used the flex dial to set these parameters to your specification, you can store the combination in memory as follows. Press the flex dial and programs will appear in the display. Turn the dial to display Save Set. Press the dial to display Save Use 1. There are 8 possible user-selectable stimulus combinations, and then press the Start-Stop button to save your stimulus combination choice in memory as User 1. To select the program User 1 at a later time, press the flex dial and rotate it until setting appears in the display. Press the dial and then rotate it until Set Use 1 appears, and then press the Start-Stop button to return to the ready mode. All of the other flex dial choices are selected and set in the same fashion. Before delivering the treatment stimulus, be sure that the stimulus and recording electrodes have been properly applied as described in the manual, and that the anesthetic specialist has administered the necessary anesthesia agents and has informed you that the patient is ready to receive the stimulus. To administer the treatment stimulus, flip up the clear plastic hinged cover over the Treat button. Press the Treat button and hold it down until the treatment light comes on and then goes off again. Releasing the Treat button before the Treat light goes off again will stop delivery of the remaining portion of the stimulus. When the Treat button is first pressed, a 1-second continuous clear tone warning signal sounds, during which the current will not be on. After the 1-second warning signal, the Treat button lights up and a buzzing tone sounds while the current is on. The light and tone both remain on for the full duration of the treatment stimulus and turn off when the stimulus delivery is complete. If the 4-channel monitor recorder is not already printing, it will start automatically and record a continuous written display beginning with the end of the stimulus. If the 4-channel monitor recorder is already recording when the ECT stimulus is delivered, it will stop during the stimulus and resume when the stimulus is over. The paper EEG recording can be started prior to the stimulus by pressing the Start-Stop button on the front panel whenever the word Ready appears in the display. EEG recording then continues throughout stimulus administration, seizure, and post-ictal periods until terminated by pressing the Start-Stop button again, generating the end of treatment report. If the baseline EEG sample has first been obtained as described earlier, signaled by the word Ready appearing in the display, a thin black line called the ictal line seizure indicator is printed along the top of the paper recording strip as an aid to seizure interpretation. Whenever the EEG amplitude exceeds a specified baseline value determined individually for each patient, an unbroken solid black ictal line seizure indicator appears at the top of the recording strip, reflecting continuous seizure activity. A broken or intermittent ictal line reflects waxing and waning or intermittent seizure activity, and complete cessation of the ictal line for 2 or more seconds indicates seizure termination. A unique feature of the Thymatron System IV allows the physician to automatically monitor and print up to 3 computer-determined measures of seizure duration from EEG, EMG, and ECG. If a baseline EEG has been collected as described above, and the word "ready" appears in the display, the Thymatron System IV continuously monitors the EEG for the seizure endpoint and automatically prints the seizure duration in seconds in the end of treatment report. The Thymatron System IV is shipped with the computer-automated EEG endpoint detection feature already enabled. If the feature has been disabled prior to the present treatment, it can be restored with the flex dial. Press the flex dial to display the most recently set flex dial function. Rotate the dial until endpoint is displayed. Press the dial again to see a flashing display of the status of the EEG endpoint detection program. If EEG off is flashing, rotate the flex dial until EEG on is flashing, and press the Start-Stop button to select and save the setting and return to the ready mode. Automatic determination and printout of seizure duration estimates based on analysis of the electromyogram and of the electrocardiogram are selected by following the same procedure just described for the EEG endpoint after this variable has been set. The next variable to appear in the display after EEG is set will be EMG on or off, and when that has been set, HR on or off for the ECG analysis. The Thymatron System IV sounds a user-selectable extended seizure alert signal if the recording is still running when a specified time has elapsed following the stimulus. To set the number of seconds elapsed before this signal is initiated, press the flex dial to display the most recently set variable, and then press the flex dial repeatedly until ESA followed by a numeral flashes in the display. Turn the flex dial to select the number of seconds you wish to elapse before the alerting signal is automatically activated, and press the Start-Stop button to save this setting and return to the ready mode. Caution: the computer-derived seizure duration measures and estimates of the Thymatron System IV, including the ictal line indicator, are derived solely by calculation and are provided to aid, not replace, the physician's judgment. It is possible for seizure activity to continue in the brain after any or all of the computer report indicates seizure termination. It is also possible for artifact to be interpreted by the computer programs as seizure activity. To set the gain and recording position for channels 1 through 4, press the flex dial to see the most recently set flex dial function, then rotate the dial until channel 1 is displayed. Press the flex dial to see a flashing display of the present channel 1 gain setting in the form of G1 followed by a numeral. Press the flex dial again to save the setting and advance to selection of the channel 1 position setting. Position is always set following gain because positioning of the tracing on the recording paper depends upon the amplitude or gain of the signal. You can choose to adjust position automatically by selecting P1 Auto or manually by selecting P1 values towards 0 for placing the recording towards the bottom of the strip, or P1 values towards 800 for placing them towards the top of the strip. Pressing the flex dial to select your position choice automatically returns you to the Channel 1 selection level. Rotate the flex dial to display Channel 2 and proceed as above for setting the Channel 2 gain and position. Continue in this fashion for Channels 3 and 4 as desired. The Thymatron System IV is shipped with 6 seizure quality measures already enabled. Their names and flex dial designations are as follows: Seizure Energy Index, SEI, Postictal Suppression Index, PSI, Seizure Generalization Index, SGI, Maximum Sustained Amplitude and Time to Peak Amplitude, MSP, Maximum Sustained Coherence and Time to Peak Coherence, MSC, Duke University Amplitude Measures, KWM. The flex dial procedure for adjusting each of these measures is similar. Press the flex dial to display the most recently set flex dial function. Rotate the dial until Indexes is displayed, and press the dial to see a flashing display of the status of the first variable, the Seizure Energy Index, and then press the dial again to save your setting and advance to the next variable, which is the Postictal Suppression Index. To search through the indexes to locate a particular one you want to set, press the flex dial repeatedly at the indexes message until the desired variable appears in the display, then turn the dial to your choice and press the Start/Stop button to save it and return to the ready mode. The Thymatron System IV is shipped with the paper chart drive speed set to 25 millimeters per second. To select alternate paper speeds of 5 millimeters per second and 50 millimeters per second, or to turn the chart drive off, first press the flex dial to display the most recently set flex dial function. Rotate the dial until Printout is displayed. Press the dial to see a flashing display of the present paper speed setting. Rotate the flex dial until the desired paper speed setting is flashing in the display, and press the Start/Stop button to save the setting and return to the ready mode. To set the date and time in the printed report, press the flex dial to display the most recently set flex dial function. Rotate the dial until Clock is displayed. Press the Set button to display Month, followed by a numeral from 1 to 12. Rotate the dial to display the desired month, and press the dial to select and save your choice and advance to day. Repeat as desired to set the day, year, hour, and minute in sequence. When you are finished, press Start/Stop to save your settings and return to the ready mode.